What up, K-Rugs, the sober dog, coming at ya. Today's video, how do drugs get into jails and prisons? Now, for those of you that don't know me or are new just checking this video out, I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the support. Hope you're all having a great day. And anyone that doesn't know my background, I did do time in jail and prison because of my addiction. So that's where the information for this article is coming from. This video post, should I say. When I was in prison, it was filled with drugs. And I was at 9 different facilities. Every one of them had a plethora of drugs. Just tons of them all over the place. So there is plenty in there, unfortunately. But, if somebody wants to stay sober, it doesn't really matter where they are, they could do it. Well, first of all, there's 2 different types of drugs in jail. There is outside drugs and inside drugs. Outside drugs are exactly which, they would be the stuff that comes in from the outside. Weed, K2, heroin, pills, cocaine, Xanax, whatever. Inside drugs are guys' medications that they cheek or, pocket or steal or whatever and sell in there. Some people get, controlled substances in there and strong medication. They'll cheek it and then they'll sell it to different guys and they get back to the dorm. The outside stuff, I know I've said this like 4 times, so how do they get in? All right, we'll tell you right now. Number 1, most common way, visits with family and friends. Whether you're in jail or prison, wherever, there's visits with family and friends. It's something that keeps, an inmate's morals and motivation up to do good. It keeps people happy. It's just something that's needed. And 97% of, all the inmates going on visits are genuinely going down just to see friends and family. But that 3% is going down and they're getting something else. How do they do this? Well, I've seen guys hide it, have, the person on the outside hide it in the baby's diaper. Females, a woman hide it in their bra or, other genital areas. And on the visit, at least in prison, you're allowed to hug for a couple minutes and kind of be close for a minute. So then they'll slide it up or pull it a different way. I've seen people swallow it and cough it up. Belly button. A certain person I knew put it in their belly button and taped it over. So there's all these different ways, and then, the inmate will swallow it or put it up his rectum and he'll bring it back to the dorm. That was the most common way. Number 2, through the mail and package system. There is thousands of inmates and, thousands of letters a day, and that's just to the inmates, not including the, hundreds the facility's getting. And there might be 1 or 2 mailroom people in charge of checking that. So they do the best job they can, and some stuff is flagged. There's certain inmates who've gotten in trouble before, but stuff still can come in that way. I know they have like an x-ray machine and dogs that can sniff it. Somehow it still manages to get through. And another way I know is like, what they'll do is they'll take paper and drip drugs onto it. And a lot of people, they'll spray their letter with cologne, people on the street, or perfume, so that the guy inside can, smell his girlfriend's perfume or whatever. So that's not uncommon for the guards to see wet paper, but you don't know if it's drugs or just harmless perfume. I think they've stopped that at a lot of places, but that is another way that it does come in. 3, crooked or blackmailed guards. This was, in my experience, the second most common one. Street value or the value of drugs in prison is about 5 to 10 times what it was on the street. So a dime bag of weed that you could buy for $10 at the corner, if you could somehow manage to get that in prison, it's selling for anywhere between 50 to 100. So there was guards that, some of them have their own addiction or alcohol problems or financial problems, and if they found an inmate they trust, they'd bring a little bit in and sell it to them and make some serious money, according to them. But if they got caught, that's their job, and they're going to jail themselves. And then blackmail guards is, inmates are, some guys are extremely conniving and cunning, and they get information on people and find stuff out and, bring me this in or else. It's kind of what happened in the Dannemora prison escape that happened in 2015 here in New York State, where 2 murderers escaped from prison, maximum security. They kind of blackmailed and connived a guard and a jail worker, which leads us into number 4, crooked or blackmailed workers, civilian workers. Most jails and prisons have civilian workers that come in, come in the morning and leave at night, like a normal 9 to 5, and they are not guards. They're just cooks and construction people and plumbers and whatever else the jail needs. These people, same thing. Same with the guards, same with everything. 95% of them are great, hardworking people, but small percentage, some of them just want to make some extra money. Some of them, might know an inmate from the street, and they get to talking and work out some plan, something like that. Now, all the guards and civilian workers get searched on the way in, but there's always areas and ways to hide stuff. And, I'm sure if the same worker's walking past the same guard every morning for 10 years, sometimes maybe the procedure gets a little lax. So, number 5, inmates who knew they were getting arrested or arrested on purpose. A lot of guys, especially guys who are on parole or probation and are, doing stuff wrong, know that they're getting in trouble. So like, if a guy's already failed 2 drug tests and he's got to show up to his probation today or parole, and he knows he's going to fail again, he'll intentionally swallow drugs because he knows there's a 90% chance he's going to jail today. Stuff like that. Or guys who got out on bail and then they know, February 30th is their sentencing date. So they know they're getting sentenced on that day. Before they go to court, they swallow, they put up their, their rectum, they do whatever they got to do for, drugs that way, because they know they can poop it out in a couple days and they'll be in the facility and it'll be worth a lot more, or they could just use it for themselves to get through it. I don't know, whatever. But that's another big way that I've seen a lot of guys, especially in the county jails. That's a big one. That's how most of the drugs get in the county jail, because a lot of people, they kind of know they're getting arrested. They know what's going on. So, or they know they got court. And the last one is throwing or catapults or drones. These are old school methods besides the drones, but they've been done and are still being done. This right here is my little drone. Just, you can see how big it is. Cost me $100, just a little toy I like. But the bigger ones that are getting more sophisticated as we go on, they tie a little thing of drugs to this, fly it over the yard of the jail, and just it detaches. And then the next morning, an inmate knows where to go or what to look for or something if his buddies told him they were doing that. Now, there is guards watching the outside of the jail 24/7, and they got all new technology and cameras, so that's not easy, but there has been cases of it being done. Also, throwing in catapults. There's prisons that are kind of drop dead in the middle of like a little city or a little area. So, the sidewalk is right there for civilians to be walking up and down it. And people who know they're having, who have like cousins or somebody inside, they'll just fill a tennis ball with drugs and toss it over, and it'll land where the, outside where everybody plays handball and tennis and all that, or not, we don't have tennis rackets, but playing with the tennis ball, whatever, and it just looks like it's another ball sitting there, or like an old school catapult. I've never heard of this in New York State Prison or anybody I ever talked to, but I did read about a story where this did happen, where just like one of those old water balloon launchers, that like it looks like a giant rubber band, where, you know, the same thing. They would just fill like a big balloon with drugs and just shoot it in at night, and, you know, whoever their person was on the inside knew what to look for the next morning. So drugs, you know, it's a sad thing to say, but if somebody wants to get high, it doesn't matter where they are, they're going to find a way to get high. I got high in solitary confinement in prison. Solitary is a whole prison inside of a whole prison, and we still found a way to get drugs in there. So it's a sad thing to say, but it's the truth. It's up to the person, you know, who wants to get sober and stay sober. All right? That's how drugs get into prison and jail. Don't go. It's not a fun experience. See ya.